Hello everyone. I'm recording this today from Japan as it's a little bit hard for me to attend due to the different time zone, but I'm very excited to show you a short presentation on open metadata in my company, how we implemented it, why, and the few benefits we already have in a few short weeks. So let me first talk a little bit about the context. So I work for Kansai Airports, which is a company based in Japan in the Kansai region, operating 3 airports, totaling about 50 million passengers per year. So it's quite large airports. And our business is covering 3 areas mostly. First, the operation of the airport, so the service to the passengers, the service to the plane, the ground handling, the security, etc. Second part would be the investment, so building the airport, building the runway, building the passenger terminals, implementing the installation of equipment, etc., etc. And finally, the commercial revenues. So it would be retail, it would be real estate, it can be also our commercial relationship with airlines, and so on. In our company, we are traditionally a Japanese company, and we were a public company, public servants, maybe 10 years ago, and we are ongoing a digital transformation. So I don't know if you have this image of the public servants in your own country, but in Japan, the culture has not been very forward-thinking in terms of digital transformation. You have this image of the government retiring the floppy drive only a few years ago. So we are really willing to give in all our energy to the digital transformation, but we are starting a little bit late, and some of our colleagues are not very familiar with data and with the modern digital tools. So me, I'm Antoine. I'm working as the data innovation manager at Kansai Airports. So I lead a team who handle the digital transformation, but particularly the data platform. And that's why we introduced open metadata. For this data platform, we have a tech stack that is quite classic, I guess. We have Google Cloud Storage, mostly a Google Cloud Platform shop, using BigQuery as our data warehouse, dbt for our transformations. But we use Power BI for dashboarding. Today, dashboards are really a main feature, a main data product we offer our users. It really helps the executives and most of people to really bring business value from our data. The issue is it was hard for business users to see beyond the dashboard. So what's beyond the dashboard? Those dashboards are in Power BI and they are kind of separated from our GCP hosted data platform. So the real big question was where the data I see in my dashboards come from. Also, the business definition. In our business domain, we have the question, what is a passenger, for example? A passenger, depending on who you ask, it could be simply whoever rides the plane, including the crew, including the infants, including anybody who's actually on the plane. But some people will not count the crew. Some people will count the transit passenger or the transfer passenger differently. Some people would not count infants as they are not generating revenue passenger. So there are some different definitions about this business metric. And we align the way we see this metric thanks to open metadata. Then there is an issue of data quality. Is the data correct? Is the data up to date? Has it been updated as planned? Finally, there are 2 more points, which are who owns the data. For any questions, for any contact, who owns the data was not clear to the business user before open metadata. And finally, we have a specific problem here. It's about access control. Thanks to the organization by domain and owners and so on, with open metadata, we are able to delegate the decisions on access control to the business owners and to the data owners, which really facilitates the work of my team. So all those questions have been solved by OpenMetadata, and we realized that we needed a platform, an open metadata platform, a data catalog, something to do our data quality tests, something to collaborate on the data. And why we choose open metadata? First, it's that it's pretty, I would say, I would call it a plug and play solution. So it really goes on each of our different data platform elements, so whether it's our data warehouse in GCP or a data visualization platform in Power BI. It's really easy to just plug it, bring in the metadata and start working straight away. I think it took us a couple of days to just, set up a Docker deployment of open metadata, just connect our main data sources, and we could have like hundreds of data warehouse tables and maybe 50 dashboards on Power BI, really plugged in open metadata and ready to tackle the actual job and the actual challenge of an open metadata platform, which is business adoption. In this regard, we liked the I would call it business friendliness of open metadata platform. We think there is the right level of information. It's not too confusing for business users who are not necessarily familiar with data and the very minute details of metadata management. So it makes for an easy onboarding of our business users. Finally, the two last points are really connected, but there is good documentation for the deployment, for the connectors, also the playbooks about the administrator or the user of open metadata, what is expected of him. So it's really easy to follow along and start the implementation very efficiently. And finally, and that's why I'm happy to talk today, there is a great community. There is very active support on Slack. I thank Nick to let me talk today, by the way. And it's really easy to just spin in the containers, start working. Any trouble you may have will be solved by the community. And it's really easy to demonstrate to your executive the value of the platform. It's open source, so there is actually very little cost to adoption at the beginning. And it's really bringing value quickly to a data team. So to conclude the presentation, I will just tell you a little bit about our next steps. We are handling this roadmap mostly with one person dedicated about a third of his time to open metadata. And we plan to follow this roadmap. So the proof of concept was mostly, deploying the containers, trying to tie it all together, and that happened in July. Then we will onboard in August. We are doing that in August and September, onboard the data leaders and do some workshop to really get the buy-in, get the needs, get the involvement of the business. In October, we plan to release the solution for all the company of Kansai Airports and implement the access control from open metadata to our data warehouse and dashboards. In November, we'll set up the data quality alerting for our tier 1 data assets, and release also for our group companies, which are subsidiary of our companies, will also join us on the tool. In December, we'll have a little pause, look back, assess where we are at, assess any gap in terms of data maturity, and start 2026 with the objective to introduce AI agent interface. It's not something we have any detailed plan yet, but we think first we need to have the good foundation, the good basis with our metadata properly defined, governed, and fresh, and then we can start to introduce an AI agent interface. Okay, that's it for my presentation. I'm not so sure, it's hard to talk to a recording, so I'm not sure if it was all right, but I hope this presentation brought you something. Really, my main message is open metadata is really easy to spin on. It's really quick to have uh, business value results that your stakeholder will see in a couple of weeks or couple of months. So I really recommend to anybody in my position to give it a try. And I guess it might be the case to most of you here today. But yeah, great solution. And thanks again to the community for the opportunity. Thanks, bye.